And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Bubba and the Bloom, episode 256. It's a Bloom Board Tuesday. We're going to talk some last 30 days, hitters and pitchers, leaderboards to see who's been hot, who's been not around the game of fantasy baseball. But before we get to that, you can find me on Twitter at BDintric, the podcast at Bubba Bloom Pod, and on Patreon at patreon.com/Bubba Bloom. And my co-host, as always, on Twitter at RyanBHQ, Ryan Bluefield. How we doing, my friend?
Not bad, man. I'm happy to see you back in the podcast chair. I was a little worried how the 40-plus-year-old body would handle a Metallica concert at your ancient age. So I'm glad to see you back. I don't know if we're running at 100% over there, but at least you're physically here.
Physically here, emotionally here.
Yeah.
Mentally almost checked. No, I was kidding. Yeah, no, we're here. We're having a great time. I was not the oldest one there by far, so that's a good thing. Wide range of ages now at Metallica concerts as they've been going for over 40 years. So they got that going for them, but it was epic. Over 75,000 people in that stadium. An article came out. They set records for Denver. I've been to about a dozen shows. That's by far the best one I've ever seen. Me and my buddy, he's been to more than that. We both looked at each other like midway through and we're like, dude, this is something different. And the thing that stood out to me is I've seen them in stadiums probably 4 or 5 times. They usually play at one end of those, like, a portion of the stadium is just nobody, empty. This was around, so the whole place is full, plus about 15,000 in the middle. It was, dude,
the snake pit, right? The snake pit
in the middle. Yes, it was wild stuff to say the least. And I'm glad I made the trip. Flew in, landed about 1:10 Denver time. Show started at 6. Flew out at 7 in the morning the next day. That Denver airport sucks, by the way. Good Lord. Yep. Almost missed my flight.
Full agree. It's been a while, but full agree.
I've only done transfers there, so I've never had to get through security again. That was by far the worst experience of my life. I thought an hour was plenty of time. Literally barely made my flight. So that was
pretty far from downtown too. I don't know if you stayed downtown.
Yeah, that's the other part. It was like a $55 Uber ride from downtown Denver to it's like a 30+ minute drive to get out there. So yeah, that would be my gripe. But other than that, it was outstanding. Great stuff. Went to a concert on Saturday, went to a rodeo on Friday. It's been a three-day of excitement for a guy that's just not built for that anymore. So yeah, I'm here. We're doing this. We're doing the thing.
That is good. Glad you had a good time. And most importantly, I guess, most importantly is the good time. But I always, with those quick turnaround flights, it's like, especially Denver, you can get some weather. You can get some weather there. Not so much in the summertime, but glad you got back and in and out and relatively on time.
Yeah, it was something else to say the least. But
I had to hold down the Discord for you. I had to hold down the Patreon over the weekend for you.
Crushed it. You did well.
I was the captain. People starting to make fun of me that I was running the ship. I created some new, channels in the Discord and stuff, trying to change some stuff up to screw with you when you got back. But we're still kicking over there. So
no, you were crushing it all week. I basically, when I was sitting at a bar drinking noons, I tap in once in a while to see what was going on. But otherwise, it was pretty much MIA for the most part there. And the one last thing I'll say about the concert, because I could talk about it the entire show. When Sanitarium came on, for those that aren't aware, it's been played 772 times for another podcast. It just hits different. It's in live. It's absolutely amazing. It's
that's awesome.
There's a reason it's my favorite song. It's so good. So
and you had Pantera. I know Pantera from way back in the day opening that
dude.
I saw your walk video.
Walk live might have been the wildest thing.
That's
like,
awesome.
I know your Hokies thing's pretty cool, but I've never experienced it. Pantera live, literally the stadium sang 75% of it. He just basically said, with one beat, you guys will know what to do. It was insane. So that was awesome. Yeah, just great show. People don't want to hear about all of it probably, but I recommend it to those that have always been skeptical. And honestly, the prices weren't bad. They're like $160 a seat. It really wasn't that bad. So I highly recommend it. It's one of those kind of people say bucket lists. Yeah, it's a bucket list that's keeps filling basically, so keep going to it.
When Metallica went to Virginia Tech, there was a whole, like you said, they were all different ages or whatever. Like there's a whole slew of college kids went to Metallica, like had never really listened to Metallica before the first time, and they were absolutely blown away. So it's not, you don't even need to like follow them that closely, and you'll have a great time.
No, Pantera said one of the funniest things is in between one of the songs, and I will keep it PG for the show. But he basically he pointed to all the mosh pits, and he goes, These guys down here, they have the energy, zero clue who we are. You guys up there all know who we are. So you guys sing, teach them, let them break stuff. Let's have a great time. I'm like, yep, pretty much summed it up.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so good stuff. But yes, great time. Glad to be back. And yeah, we're here to do it. Let's get to it. So before we get to the news and notes, Fab preview, just for you guys, little housekeeping here. Fab preview will be this Wednesday night because we have the 4th of July holiday on Friday, Thursday, where I live. It's the fireworks show. We party all day, have a great time. And then Friday, obviously, everybody else is having a great time. So the Fab show's coming Wednesday night this week, a day earlier. Apologize for those that think that's crazy, but you're going to get your Fab show one way or another.
We're just trying to work around Bubba's new hard and fast lifestyle here. So mega party on Thursday for Bubba. So we're moving it up. Honestly, it's probably good. I don't know how many people are downloading podcasts on Friday, the 4th of July, and listening to pods. You're probably all out, hopefully enjoying the day off, barbecuing, hopefully not Jean-Pierre Pauling yourselves on Friday, but we're going to get it out early for you before the holidays so you can listen on Thursday.
And I'll clarify that the party used to be a rager. Now it's we all have kids, so we have a good time. We watch the city fireworks together, and then 3 dads we've already gotten in and got one of the big sets of fireworks for the girls to just. I have 90 sparklers in my kitchen right now, so the kids are gonna have a good time.
Nice.
All right, enough of that. Ryan, did something just drop on the Baseball HQ website in the last week?
Yeah, first pitch Arizona registration is actually now open over at Baseball HQ. So we won't bother you guys too much every single episode about it, but
just every other.
We probably will. But we would love to see and see as many of you as possible out there in Arizona. It's November 6th through 9th out in Phoenix. We are going to be there. We are going to be golfing November 6th. We'll have a live podcast there. There's a ton of other reasons to go to First Pitch Arizona, but if you're interested, Baseball HQ did open up signups over on their website. So go to baseballhq.com. There's a First Pitch Arizona logo there you can click, and there's an early bird rate. So that gets more expensive as you get closer to the event. I believe the early bird rate and sometime late July. So this is the cheapest time to get your registration locked in for First Pitch. And again, we talk about it way too much, I know, but it's because we have a great time. We enjoy meeting everyone out there. So if you're interested, registration did open. So go check it out.
It's where the show began. So it's a great spot for us. And a quick last, he highlighted over it. We are golfing the Bubba and the Bloom Invitational. We'll be back to Wednesday this year. We had to do Sunday this last year.
Thursday.
Back to Wednesday. Thursday. Sorry, flying Wednesday. Thursday this year. If you're interested, let us know so we can get you on the list. Ryan's already got a block of tee times booked up. We might have to get more if you guys are interested, but we need to get people filled in on that sooner than later, and it helps us out if it's on the sooner side of things. So just give us a heads up there. I think we already got a couple foursomes booked as it is. Already reserved. You've reserved like 5 or 6 already, but you know what I'm trying to say there.
Yep, got a few groups already reserved. If you have played in the past with us, I will send an email out to that group here shortly as well, so you haven't missed anything. But any newbies who want to join us out there, November 6th is in the morning on Thursday before FPAS really starts. So, get in touch with either of us. We'll get you on the list.
Always cool there. Let's talk about a little Listener League recap. We do this the first Tuesday episode of every month, Ryan. So not much to see for me or you, I would say, but I'll let you. We'll do it like we used to do. I'll let you have the top 5. I'll go with the next 5, so on and so forth. But there's one name still holding strong at the top, but it's the lead's shrinking.
Yeah, so Jason Weir continues to hold. He had lost the lead for a couple of days, but out of our 150 overall players, 10 leagues, 15 team auction that we did for listeners back in late February, Jason Weir is still number 1 overall, number 1 out of 150. But the lead is we've got some moving and shaking behind him. Some guy named Ben Tidd. I don't know if you know that guy, but Ben Tidd is in second overall. He's having just a hell. He has a main event team that is way up there as well. So I know he's probably rooting for one of those teams more than the other. But hey,
most likely. Don't
Ben Tidd's in second. Tony Musso in third place. Our good buddy Michael Cicchini is in fourth. Projector big screen Eric Leggett in Wisconsin is number 5. That'll round out our top 5. Eric's shooting way up, picked up a few spots today. So Eric is 5th overall.
And then we got Lucas Bury, our buddy, who's won an overall auction himself before. He's up there to 6. Marion Osborne is at 7. Our buddy Brandon Waddell, who, if you listen to that show that plays Sanitarium, you might hear him pretty soon on there. He is number 8. Matthew Hennings is 9th. And Aaron Hasbury, a good old Aaron Gifts, rounds out the top 10. And now he's been a guy that's been moving and shaking a ton in recent weeks. He's got a volatile team, is what I'll call it, but it's a volatile team that still hangs out around the top.
Yeah, a little bit of a tough run lately for Aaron. He was the one who did unseat Jason top overall for a couple days, exactly. So Aaron wasn't first. Still well within striking distance in 10th. Number 11, Randy Haynes. Number 12, Britton Allen, our good buddy. Britton. Ben Bingham, who is 13th overall. I'm locked in a DC 1 and 2 with him. Tony Messer, 14th, and then rounding out our top 15. We'll do top 16 too, because I see Sarah Sanchez lurking there at 16. So congrats, Sarah. Nick Bullock is number 15. So that'll round out our overall top 15 right now.
Yeah, Sarah's dominating our league right now. So
she's in your individual league.
Yep. So she's doing very well. But it's nice because it's a lot of new names from the last time we reviewed this. So you said, lots of moving and shaking around there. When you just look at the overall rank changes, there's a ton of guys and girls going up and down. It'll be really interesting to see where this one goes as we keep going throughout the season. But let's take a look at
let's scroll on down.
Yeah, Roger
Dude, it's
Bloomfield.
bad. You're lower than I am. Or no?
Yeah.
No,
I'm not. Let's slow your roll there, buddy. I must say Roger Bloomfield's 80-30 is the best Bloomfield in the pack. Rounding out. Okay, for the listeners, there's 150 players in this. Ryan Bloomfield sits at 122 right now, so having a strong season.
I was down to 140.
You moved up 8 spots today. So
picked up 8 spots today.
Good timing. Good timing.
I was, as of a few days ago, I was dead last in my league at around 140 out of 150. Honestly, I know we enjoy self-deprecating humor, but honestly, a little embarrassing. The listener league representation here. So trying to work my way back up. I'm 122. Just had a tough month. This is a Yordan Alvarez team. We'll talk about him. This is a Pablo Lopez team. This is a Bryce Harper team who just came back today, but this was a Shea Langoliers team. I did not have a bench. An Aaron Nola team. Aaron Nola team. So I had, I think, 5 guys on the IL, legit guys. You may argue Aaron Nola is not a legit pitcher, but injuries have destroyed me, but I also have made many mistakes. So anyway, 122 overall. If I can finish top 100 with this squad and just not last in my league, maybe middle of the pack in my league, I'll call it a moral victory.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm sitting at 110, so not much better. I keep fluctuating between 90th and 110. So it's improving from when we reviewed 2 months ago, but still got a long ways to go. Pitching's been pretty darn good overall. The hitting has been tough to continue replacing certain pieces. That's been the biggest struggle bus for me. Wyatt Langford always hurt, has been a real downer. Cole Reagan's going out. Bailey Ober and Zach Gallen have destroyed things. That's why the pitching's actually better overall, but then Birdsong's a mess now. So what once was a strong pitching staff at least showed us back. That's a plus. But as a whole, it's the bats aren't producing the way I thought they would, and the pitching, there were some massive letdowns on that one.
You know how much
you want to review
have left?
How much fat do I have left? You want to see that? Let's see here.
Actually, I don't really care.
No, I'll tell you. You asked now. I still have 492 because everyone outbids me in this league. So we're going to start throwing some bombs out there on some fab bids pretty soon, even though there's no one to bid on. But I'm going to make sure I start getting everybody now going. It's the only league I have Zach Gallen left on because you can outbid every week on that. So I just need to pull the trigger and go crazy. But I didn't get Chase Burns, thank goodness. So that was a plus because that would really blow things up. Do we want to recap the Vegas league at all or no?
Oh, fuck. Yeah, we can, but Jesus, that's even worse for me.
I'm just joking. I'm joking. We don't have to. There's a long thread in our Discord about it today that, no, I did not pay Timothy to do.
Hey, that one I'm at least in 12th place.
Yeah. How many people are in the league?
It's a 12-teamer. It's not 15.
Gosh, check it. I'm
So
third in
yeah,
that one.
it's funny. I'm actually having a decent overall year, like across my teams, but the two listener league teams, Jesus.
Fantasy baseball. It's I don't know if it's the skill's the right word for it, but yeah, there's a lot of skill. I'm not going to downplay that at all, but a lot of other things have to go your way as well to get it done. Long ways to go. 3 more months, Ryan. I've been told 3 more months. So keep grinding and hope that the news coming up here doesn't affect you as it will affect other people. Let's see if the first one does. Jeremy Pena to the IL with a fractured rib from a hit by pitch. Once again, X-rays were negative by the Astros, and an MRI revealed the fracture. Jeremy Pena is going to miss at least 4 weeks. They're saying 4 to 8 weeks because it's always got to heal. Then you got to swing, try not to hurt it. Like there's a lot of factors involved here. Shea Whitcomb was recalled. Hopefully they play him for once. That'd be great. Mauricio Dubon is going to take over at shortstop for the time being for Pena. The other thing I'll mention before I just let you run with how much you want to pick up Mauricio Dubon is in Double-A. I wrote about him last week in the PT Tomorrow. He actually got promoted to Triple-A, didn't he? Yes, he did. Bryce Matthews. Yes, there he is. Bryce Matthews is swinging it very well. He's announced to be in the Futures game. If the Astros want to do something here, they could bring him up hitting 285, 10 homers, 23 steals at AAA this year. That could be a very interesting replacement.
And that could be an option because they do. I think they like Dubon as more of just like a all around utility type.
Well, he's been the main second. He's been the main second baseman lately.
Yep. So maybe they want to move him back to second and whatever. So I don't know. I think this is all just a way for you to bring up Mauricio Dubon as early as you can in the show after he was our last show's mascot. But I do agree with you. This that currently Mauricio Dubon's a decent stream in Coors, but no, it's an empty batting average. It's not going to do much for you. I know you'd love to see Shea Whitcomb play every day. I just don't know if that's going to happen until we see it.
He's so good. But yeah, they seem to not like to do those type of things. What are you doing with Pena? 4 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, it was just
because if it's even if it's 4 weeks, you have 2 months of the season left. If it's 8 weeks, you have 1 month. It really starts making things tricky now.
Well, and it's like, and in all seriousness, it's not just insert Astros medical staff joke here. It's like, I mean, this thing can linger. I mean, like, do we actually think this is the timeline for Jeremy Pena? Having a great year. I mean, we talked about Jeremy Pena a couple weeks ago, but yeah, hitting 322, 11 homers, 15 steals. I think you hold until you hear about a setback.
Yep,
if you can.
That's I'm with you there. If you can, that's great. Speaking of setbacks, Yordan Alvarez
and
was
the
taking
Astros
was taking batting practice in Florida. They shut it down because he hurt his hand again. He's now going to see a hand specialist in the next day or two. This feels like he's done for the year, Ryan. I know I'm just negative Nancy here, but this has been a disaster, one after the other after the other. I know you're going to wait till you get the final say, but it's pretty much pull the pin time.
Yeah. I mean, I think we will be able to, it's a couple of days till he sees the specialist. And so we will I presumably have that information by Sunday. But I agree, man. It is trending towards Yordan Alvarez, as much as this pains me for him to be a drop, just because this is not progressing. He's already been out over 2 months, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe almost 2 months, I should say.
Almost 2 months.
And there's been no progression. Yeah, it feels like even more. Another 2 months we're September. So this feels like a drop, but yeah, let's see what the specialist, quote unquote. I don't know. Is this an Astro specialist?
That's
is this
a third great question.
Who's the specialist? You know, we are fantasy baseball specialists, and sometimes we don't know what we're talking about. So who knows?
You never know with this, but yeah, we'll get the news. Don't plan on it being great, is what I will say.
Right.
Zach Eflin of the Baltimore Orioles heads to the IL with a back injury after getting blown up on the mound once again. So what I was thinking, is it a back injury or is it, hey, let's figure things out? Get a little breather, as some might say. Brandon Young was recalled, started against Texas on Tuesday. Thoughts on Eflin, because he's been horrible on the mound. Now he's on the IL.
Yeah, and the way Eflin has pitched lately, like I think this feels like I feel like you can drop even in 15 teamers. And I mean, the strikeouts aren't there anyway. We knew that coming in with Zach Eflin. Hey, Gallen struck out double digits against your boys tonight. So I just want to throw that one out there. But But Eflin, yeah, if the command's off at all, like this can blow up bad, and that's what we've been seeing. So I think you can move on from Zach Eflin. And Young, I don't think did not pitch well today against Texas. I think that's kind of all you need to know there. I don't think Brandon Young is a pickup either.
No, and Cade Povich had a setback in his rehab. He was like one start away. His hip got re-injured. So,
hey,
yeah,
Trevor Rogers, baby, he's safe.
Oh, for now.
Vilo's
Charlie Morton has mild elbow tendonitis. Going to start this back to Friday. Baltimore is falling to pieces.
That seems extremely ominous. Like elbow tendonitis from a 41-year-old, and they're going to push him back like 2 days. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Feels like he's going to throw 3 pitches and it's over if he pitches at all. So, yeah. With you on that. Talking about ominous, Chris Sale got transferred to the 60-day IL. Kind of like I think we expected it at some point, but just to get the news to know he's not back till at the earliest the end of August, Ryan. I believe I saw a beat reporter say the earliest he can get back is like 10 days left in the month of August. So we're talking about a month of baseball. We're talking about 5 starts potentially, maybe 6 if you're lucky. What's your thoughts here?
Right. 5 or 6 starts, best case, I think, for Chris Sale. And that is, I mean, if you have space, I can see trying to hold on as long as you can. 5, 6 starts of Chris Sale could be really good, especially in a September when pitching is a kind of a total crapshoot. Who knows if the Braves are still going to be contending by then? But I think if you've got other injuries, like I think you can probably move on from Sale. It's a long wait, and everything has to go well in Sale's rehab for him to even pitch the last month of the season. And so just, I don't know. And typically what we see is not everything goes perfectly on the rehab trail. So I think that Atlanta putting him on the 60-day, like this early, it doesn't feel like Sale will be just ready to go when 60 days is up. Why would they put him on the 60-day IL?
Well, they need to clear a spot for the 40-man roster. That's what they needed. So it's logistics plus the injury. Remember, they did say they hope he pitches again this season. Last time we talked. So, as the great band Styx once said, I'm sailing away. All right, let's go to Kerry Carpenter to the IL with a hamstring injury. Starting to, we know he can swing it well. Hurt his hammy slide into third base, I believe. Don't have a timeline yet on him, so we don't know if it's a grade 1 or a grade 2, but he's out for at least 10 days, Ryan.
Yeah, not great, especially the timing. Carpenter was finally starting to swing it. Injured Hokie. Never like injured Hokies, so not good.
Not good at all. Hopefully it's not long-term, folks. But again, we do not know, as they're still waiting, as I'm reading clips on Twitter, which is funny, still waiting for his MRI. It's actually some pretty funny tweets about that.
I mean, more safety for Wensiel Perez, who I know we've talked about all the time. It's just one less body to fight. But yeah, it's brutal.
Honestly, it's more safety for Parker Meadows, who doesn't know how to hit a baseball right now.
Has not been hitting all that well. So,
all righty, let's get to it. It's Bloomboard Tuesday time. We're going to do leaderboards, last 30 days, hitters, pitchers, risers, fallers. Ryan, you tee us up, and I will knock them down.
All right. So the deal here is this is a Google sheet. This is live, what I call live Bloomboards. Basically, this is a set of 5 tabs. This is available to all our Patreon subscribers, and it's updated every single day. It's basically a pre-made template of some of the Bloomboards that I think are kind of most important. And you guys have Patreon folks have full access to this every day and can kind of go in at your leisure and kind of see what's going on. So the 5 tabs here there's a team level tab that looks at team trends, lefty, righty, that sort of thing. There's a year-to-date hitters and pitchers tab that we've talked about in previous episodes. But we want to talk about tonight, there's a last 30 days hitter tab and a last 30 days pitcher tab. And within there's, I think, 3 boards on each tab that, again, just kind of update feed every day so you can go in here and check it out. But for me at least, it's a really good way to just keep tabs. Especially once we get into summertime in June, it's easy to lose track of who is doing well, who is not, and what those in-season trends are. So that I think this is a nice way to kind of check that out and keep tabs on what's going on. So we will kind of tour through these tonight, the last 30 days hitters, the last 30 days pitchers, as we typically do at the start of every month. And yeah, Bob, I'll let you guide the ship and call out any names you think are worth discussion this evening.
And it's also interesting when there's multiple boards they're on to kind of showcase that they're putting it all together if possible. Doesn't always happen,
Yes.
but you'll see it. You'll see it from time to time. Feels like more so on the pitching side than the hitting side, but definitely
Yep.
makes things stand out for sure. All right, just wanted to just throw it out there real quick. Buxton improved his carry from 32% to 17% over the last 30 days as he continues to just crush everything and stay healthy for now. So that stands out as a big plus. One that's surprising to me that I want to talk about is a guy that he kind of streaked for a couple of weeks and it's back to being cold, and that's Josh Bell. His K rate's gone from 22 to 8%. Like he's barely striking out right now. His EV90 is 109. That's good stuff. But the overall production's been dreadful, Ryan. So I guess the reason I bring it up is, again, these boards are to create talking points to make you dig in. It does not mean it's an all or nothing situation.
Yeah, I think for Bell and just real quick on EV90, again, folks watching on YouTube can see this, but EV90 is your 90th percentile exit velo over the last 30 days. League average is 104. So if you're above that, right, you're actually in Bell's case improving your strikeout rate, but you're not just like selling out for it and just making soft contact. You're also hitting the ball hard as well. So that's color coded on the sheet, and I think those are the most interesting guys, the guys who make more contact while also making harder contact at the same time. So Josh Bell, definitely one of those guys, and like you said, Bubba, it hasn't really shown on the surface, hitting 196 this year with 11 home runs. But even just looking at the full season stats for Josh Bell, it's a really good strikeout rate, 17% on the season and 8% over the last month, which is just awesome. But it's also his second highest barrel rate of Josh Bell's career. So a 199 BABIP has not helped Josh Bell at all. He's got 22 barrels to just 11 home runs. So he's kind of been unfortunate on both batting average and homers. And I think the big thing for Josh Bell is the playing time is pretty safe as well in Washington. So I think if you need like a corner infield in a deeper league, Josh Bell is, I think, a sneaky good grab right now.
Yeah, like I just pulled up his last 30 days to compare. Only hitting 222 with the 2 home runs to go with the 8% K rate, but to like enhance onto your point here, just over that month, an 11% barrel, a 49% hard hit rate, which I think is very strong. It's the problem he always has is a 55% ground ball rate. He just hits it on the ground way too much. But you would think hitting it that hard, his BABIP would improve, but his BABIP's sitting at 219. So to go full circle with what you're saying is there's definitely room that growth could happen. At the same time, it's very frustrating because it's not. But it stood out to me that the strikeout rate improved so much, but the production not so much. Well, we could talk Mason Wynn, but that would probably annoy everybody in the well, that would annoy you. So we'll move on from there, just so you don't have to go through that again. But I want to talk about George Springer, who double donged today, hit a grand slam as one of them. 24% K rate coming into the month, 13% over the last 30 days. Springer's just that old man that continues to produce out there while healthy, of course. What do you got on George Springer?
I don't have too much. And again, yeah, this is before this was run this morning. So this was before the double dong, especially the day after, right? Springer took his face to third baseman's
knee to the throat. A knee to the throat. Yes.
Like, yes. God. I don't put too much stock, especially on the hitter side, for like these veterans who we kind of know who they are. For George Springer, I just think this is a heater. This is a hot streak, which is really good to know that George Springer can still do this at his advanced age. But I don't think there's any kind of like major breakout coming. I think it's a good hot streak for George Springer, and I think he's absolutely playable in pretty much any format in the outfield, because I mean Toronto's been pretty hot too lately as a team. So it kind of is all working for George Springer right now. Would not expect Springer to stay at this level, just given the long track record that we've seen from him over his career, but certainly very serviceable right now.
Talking about a streaky player, Elly De La Cruz dropped his K rate from 29% to 19% for the past month. And to make it even crazier, dude hit 344 in the month of June with 7 home runs, 24 runs scored, 17 RBIs, and 5 stolen bases. Didn't run like everybody would wish, but my goodness, that stat line will play anywhere, Ryan. We talk about potential K rate issues with Elly. If he becomes a 20% strikeout guy, watch out.
I mean, even like 25%, which is where Elly's at season long. That's down from 33% Elly's rookie season, 31% his sophomore season, down to 25%. Swinging strike rates at a career low as well for Elly. So like the whiffs haven't been there. The strikeouts haven't been there as much. And best thing of all, again, with these boards, that there's a bright green, Oregon Duck green for Ellie's power during this stretch where he's only striking out 19% of the time. We see that in the season to date skills for Ellie as well. Career high, 15% barrel rate. This guy is just destroying the ball and not striking out as much and by quite a bit. So this is like honestly the most encouraging, like one of the most encouraging trends I see of any hitter right now is Ellie De La Cruz. He's still just 23, man. You look at like if you go on Fangraphs and like they have these rolling graphs of how players do over like their last 15 games. Look at Ellie's rolling strikeout rate. It is just on a pretty much consistent downswing, which is a good thing, which means more contact. And he's doing it with even more power. Like, I don't know, man. This looks like our meatball draft is in 2 months, next month, technically, since it's July 1st. Yeah. I don't see why Ellie wouldn't be a top 5 overall pick right now, just because he is a much more disciplined hitter and he's not sacrificing anything for it.
Uncle Ted says Gunnar Henderson or Ellie De La Cruz rest of the season. Easy answer for me.
Like I would take Gunnar Henderson stats times 2 and I would still pick Ellie rest of season.
Agreed. For the rest of the way here, Zach Neto's hurt, but improving, which is great. McLean is improving, and it's kind of showcased on the field. Let's go to the fallers side of things here. A lot of catchers who are going backwards, as expected. Not elite catchers, just catchers that are going backwards. I wanted to highlight Aaron Judge going to a 39% K rate, but still hit 253 with 9 home runs and 2 stolen bases in the month, which is insane.
And the best raw power of anyone on this board with a 110, 90th percentile exit velo. Not worried one bit about Aaron Judge. There's actually really not that many fallers here for strikeout rate we mentioned Carson Kelly a little while ago. He's been bad, and that shows up here. 27% K rate over the last month for Carson Kelly. I think we mentioned him on a Segura episode, and this is kind of confirming that Carson Kelly is doing nothing under the hood as well.
Yep, with you there. See, I have nothing really else to add to the fallers because, McCutcheon's old. I expect that to happen. Newbar is surprising, but he's been banged up. So, and Abreu, he's been injured part of the month as well. So, not a whole lot to add here unless you have anybody else.
No, we can move on.
Let's head to the last 30 days EV90, my friend.
So these are the biggest power increasers and decreasers, kind of the first board, but flipped. We're looking at the biggest gains and fades in your 90th percentile exit velocity. So basically in your power over the last month. And then to kind of pair that with color-coded strikeout rate. So if your power has gone way up in the last month and you're striking out more often, your strikeout rate's terrible. It's red on this sheet. I'm kind of not as interested. Whereas if you're doing more power and striking out less, obviously I'm more interested. And then obviously vice versa on the flip side. So some names here. There's a Max Muncy. I'm not sure which Max Muncy that is. That's a flaw in the board. I feel like that's the A's Max Muncy, but I could be
with the
wrong
strikeout rate. I would think so.
There's a Max Muncy on here who has bumped his power up from 105 to 109, which is really good, but it's come with a 33% strikeout rate. I think that's the Oakland Max Muncy because the one who can see is
yes, the one that can see is striking out 17% of the time in the month of June. So yes,
so it's the A's one.
That is Maximus Muncy that's on the board.
Okay.
All right. So to your point, like CES, Trout's interesting that he comes up here because he still is striking out a lot, but the dude's hitting everything right now. He looks healthy and really good. I want to highlight Nolan Gorman. We talked about him a bit on the Fab show, Ryan. The power jumped from 103, the EV jumped from 103 to 107, so the power increased. Strikeout rate 31%. We know Nolan Gorman strikes out a ton. That's always been the bugaboo with Nolan Gorman, but he's also hitting well enough right now to start pretty much every game versus lefties as well, which is a plus. And that has resulted in him being a popular Fab target. But in the month of June, he hit 256 with 6 home runs, 16 RBIs with that 31% K rate. That'll play, my friend.
That'll play. And like for Gorman, even though the 31% strikeout rate, it's red on this board and it is bad. That's typical Nolan Gorman, like you said. So it's not like Nolan Gorman's selling out for this power, like changing his approach. He's always kind of struck out this much. The other nice thing with Nolan Gorman, the walk rate's back up to like 12%. So the OBP, the on base, like the real life value for Nolan Gorman, which equates to playing time, even if you're in a regular 5x5 league and don't care about OBP, that's also contributing to Nolan Gorman hitting every day. So yeah, if Nolan Gorman can even sniff 250 like he did in June and hit and pop 6 homers a month, which I think is somewhat sustainable given the raw power and the uptick that we're seeing, I think that can happen. I think he's second and third eligible too.
Yes, he is. He was a big play. Like we talked about him last week. I think I got him in a couple leagues, not as many as I'd like because there was other things going on. But he's on the radar right now for sure. I want to highlight Nick Castellanos because he feels like a Segura who's just kind of boring and he was struggling a lot. He was fighting with his manager, got benched for a game, all kinds of cool stuff. But over the last month, he saw his EV90 go from 103 to 106. Only striking out 24% of the time, and in the month of June, hit 276 with 5 home runs. Ryan, like these will play. That's even kind of 12-team worthy the way he's playing right now, and it feels like he's kind of the forgotten man that no one's that excited about.
This is kind of like a typical Castellanos season. I mean, 38 runs, 45 RBI, like in Philly's lineup. That'll play. That runs out to about an 80, 90 pace for runs and RBI, so that works. This is also another one where I similar to what we were talking about earlier with George Springer. I feel like we know who Nick Castellanos is, so this could just be kind of random variance throughout the season. But someone who is getting up there in age. This is age 33 season for Nick Castellanos. Nice to see him pair a better than average strikeout rate for him with the higher power in season. So does not look like Father Time is coming after Castellanos quite yet.
And the one that confuses me is Matt Shaw on this board. Jumped up to 103, striking out 19% of the time, which is great. But the dude's hitting 193. He's got 1 home run and 5 steals in June. Barrel rate's 4.5%. Hard hit rate's 30%. He struggle bus is the nicest way I'll put it.
Struggle bus is a accurate way to put it, but this is someone who's still young. Like it's kind of crazy. Matt Shaw is actually kind of old, I guess, for rookie 23. He's like the same age as Ellie, so that's interesting. But I don't know. It's at least nice to see because this with Matt Shaw, this goes back to like this coincides with when he was sent down and called back up. Like at least he's making more contact. At least he's hitting the ball a little bit harder. It's not translating to anything on the field right now. But as we see with these prospects, and Matt Shaw was a legitimate, like, I don't want to say elite prospect, but a pretty top tier guy entering the season. This is, for me, just kind of one to tuck away, maybe for next season or even down the stretch. Like things are quietly getting a little bit better for Matt Shaw as he's facing the same pitchers the second, third time around in the majors.
Yeah, that's totally fair. Dropping down, I want to hit on your boy Andres Jimenez. It's dropped from 103 to 100 since he came back from the IL in June, had 1 home run. But the 15% K rate is definitely something to keep. He homered on Tuesday, so that'll update for the next round here. But 208 average, 1 homer, 1 steal in the month of June, which is not great. A 1.6% barrel rate, but definitely putting the ball in play, trying to get things done, and maybe as he gets healthier and healthier, we get something to maybe excited about.
I don't know, maybe. But like the power dipping down this much, and yeah, like you said, maybe Jimenez graduates from the faller list because of the home run on Tuesday. But at least he's making contacts. He did have a steal. I think it was a combo meal game for Andres Jimenez. So believe he's running somewhat regularly when he can get on base. But you want to see a little bit more pop from Andres. It has not been good so far. I think he's been kind of, I don't want to say universally dropped in 12s, but people are kind of fed up with Jimenez right now. So of course he homers and steals this week.
Never fails at all. I want to bring up Tyler Soderstrom, who people are starting to get a little fed up with as well. He's dropped from 108 to 104 in the EV90 scale, but the 18% K rate stands out a lot to me when you look at Soderstrom's skill set. Also walking 13.5% of the time in June, 2 homers and 3 steals to go with the 216 average. So obviously overall production has fallen off. He had 241 in May, 284 in the first month of the season. We also have to remember, ever since they brought Nick Kurtz up and they're yo-yoing Soderstrom all over the diamond, it has correlated with his lack of production. So there is a lot to be said about a young player not being comfortable, not speaking for him, but that would make a ton of sense to me. But the reason I highlighted this, to get your thoughts, he's improving the K rate, so his approach at the plate maybe getting better. Maybe he needs to be more aggressive. Who knows? But he's seeing the ball better. It's just not resulting in the proper results yet.
Yeah, and this is Soderstrom's a double bloom border, which can be really good, but can be really bad too. He's on the fewest barrels list over the last month. It kind of coincides with what we're talking about here, but just 2 barrels over the last 30 days for Tyler.
As many as Ernie Clement.
As many as Ernie Clement, who has 5 all season. Like that is. Don't get me started on Ernie Clement.
So 40% of his barrels came last month. That's good.
Sure. That's fantastic. Like, I'm trying to draw a parallel on the fly here, but I can't. But yeah, that's fantastic. 40% of Ernie Clement's barrels last month. That's good. I don't know what to think about Soderstrom, honestly. Like, this is still another 23-year-old. It's a 23-year-old episode. I feel like this is just the cat and mouse adjustment game with someone who's still trying to figure things out. I think we know Tyler Soderstrom has plus power. I mean, we saw that the first month of the season. And so I'm not, it's hard to start Tyler Soderstrom right now. Like I fully get that, especially like you alluded to with Nick Kurtz there and just moving him around, but also did not start Tuesday against a righty, hasn't started in half the games against lefties over the last couple of weeks. So you're starting to see a little bit of playing time drop, but I still think Tyler Soderstrom's going to be fine. I just think this is a dry spell for him. And you love the park too, of course.
Yeah, you love the park. It's a dry spell, and I do think there's something about moving kids around that's affecting him quite a bit. But we'll have to wait and see if more takes place there. Anything else on the EV90 boards? Otherwise, we're moving to barrels, baby.
Just real quick on O'Neal Cruz.
Ooh, yeah.
So he's one of the power fallers from 115 down to 111 for EV90, which is still really good. Again, 104 miles an hour is league average. So I don't want to, like, O'Neal Cruz has gone from one of the best raw power skills to very good raw power skills over the last 30 days. But it has come with the strikeouts that we know we get with O'Neal Cruz. We know O'Neal Cruz doesn't play against lefties. We know O'Neal Cruz is, let's just say, in the manager's doghouse at the moment. Like, how motivated is O'Neal Cruz going to be in the second half when Pittsburgh is like, dude, I was watching Skeens today at home, and there's no one there. And I don't blame Pittsburgh fans. We're not like, it's just a brutally run team. There's not much motivation on that squad in the second half. So I don't know. Even though O'Neal Cruz double donged earlier this week or this past weekend, I could see this kind of like falling apart for him.
Yeah, his interest level is definitely deteriorated. So
it's not great. Did you see like him miss a ground ball in center field and just kind of watch it go past?
Like, okay. Yeah, no, I was on the ITL show with Bogman last week, and it was right after the benching, and we talked about it for a while, and we came to the conclusion that, as much as I hate to say it, because I think you're a player, you're paid to play, when the team doesn't want to support you, I kind of don't blame him, especially with his injury history. I'm like, yeah, let me go play somewhere while I'm healthy, try to make some money. Like, you're killing me over here. So I think you got to play to play. I think it's wrong not to, but I kind of see where the Pirates are coming from.
Yeah, it's bad. I mean, either way, I don't think things look good in the second half. And watch him go off and go nuts because O'Neal Cruz is tooled out to the max.
Super streaky too. So yes.
So I could be eating my words here, but just interesting to see him on that list.
For sure. All right, let's talk barrels, one of our favorite hitting stats.
So this is just a raw counting stat over the last month. Most barrels over the last 30 days. So very, very straightforward. Who's barreling it up the most over the last 30? And then obviously on the faller side, I think it's 50 plate appearance minimum. So it's not like, if you don't play, you get 0 barrels. But I did put a minimum on the fallers. I think it's 50. So basically your regular guys. So your boy's up at the top. Seiya Suzuki tied with Pete Alonso for the most barrels in baseball over the last month. How about that? And Seiya homered Tuesday as well.
Yep, he homered tonight. So he's after Tuesday night's game hitting 258 with 23 home runs, 70 RBIs on the season. The only 2 steals, which is about, he's only attempted 4 steals total. So that's way down, but the dude's mashing everything else. So the idea of a 15 to 20 steal guy, that's pretty much out the window. But if he could go and hit 40 bombs and drive in 120, I'll take the trade-off in that regard.
Yeah.
So that's pretty big.
The driving in part is huge because I think Seiya Suzuki leads all of baseball in RBI.
Yep. And that's a stat. And that's a stat that we talk even in the preseason. You can't predict that. Like Jonah Hyman, 100 like a season or two ago. Like it's just it's pretty crazy.
He's got with tonight's home run, he's got 70 RBI. The last 2 seasons for Seiya Suzuki was 73 and 74. He's already at 70.
Beautiful.
Jesus.
Absolutely. And if you look at the rest of the season projections, the BATX still has him driving in 38. So at least for 108 RBIs and 35 home runs right now. So, yeah, that's a good season. I think it's going to be better than I'll take the over right now on that one. Looking at the board, it stood out to me also that, Aaron Judge was one of the biggest fallers in strikeout rates. He still has the second most barrel, tied for, 16 barrels in the month. So, yeah, don't panic there. Juan Soto, who everyone was writing off, him and Joe Adele are tied for the most home runs in the month of June. I think things are okay in that regard. Adele's on this list too with 14 barrels. Soto had 16. So those are both doing quite well. What I want to ask you about is one Brent Rooker, who has 14 barrels on the month, 37 on the season, 47% barrel rate. But it just feels like the A's as a whole have quieted down in June. But if you look at Brent Rooker in the month of June, we saw a guy hit 298, which is great, but 4 home runs is the lowest he had on the entire season. So still a good month, but not what you'd expect for a guy with that many barrels.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of a somewhat unlucky stretch for Brent Rooker. I mean, on the season, 37 barrels and just 17 home runs. So we should get more, especially in Sacramento. I think the most important thing for Brent Rooker in June was getting outfield eligibility, getting that 10th game. So you don't have to stick him in UT anymore. So Brent Rooker, I think the power is, it's just kind of a little bit of a home run drought in quotes for Brent Rooker, but the power to me looks as good as it's ever been.
Most definitely. Like I mentioned, Adele just continues to mash. We talked about him a lot lately, so don't have to go too deep into that, but he's looking pretty good. Shohei's on the list. Shocker. Riley Green checks the box, Ryan. 14 barrels in the month, 40 year to date. Seems like it's been a quiet season for Riley Green overall, but one thing we even talked about in the preseason, the overall stats may fluctuate, but the dude is going to hit the ball often. Hitting 296 on the year, which is great to see.
Yep, and has 19 home runs, so 40 barrels on the season. It does seem quiet. I mean, 296 and 19 home runs. I don't think there are that many hitters in baseball that
Scooble's taking all the Detroit press.
Yeah. So no, awesome year for Riley Green, and I will fully admit I have said this before. For whatever reason, Riley Green is a blind spot for me. I just have never drafted him, and I'm missing out. No reason not to draft him, I guess. I guess he had some injuries and whatnot early in his career. I don't know. It's just one of those guys where I just always seem to kind of pass him by, and that has been to my detriment.
Well, he was dealing with a shoulder injury last year, so you think it's going to take a while to get it back, but not so much with him this year, which is pretty entertaining. On the fallers side of things here, it's a ton of middle infielders, not second base or shortstops, fantasy middle infielders. They're filling in. Nico Horner, he might actually be a second baseman. I'll give him that. But Eric Wagaman, Ernie Clement, Bryce Terang, he's a starter. Chase Mydrot, Jacob Wilson, who has a hamstring injury. That power drought might be coming our way. Xavier Edwards. Anything on the fallers side? Because outside of the Soderstrom one, not a ton that stood out to me.
The Soderstrom's the big one because he's got 28 on the season, but only 2 in the last month. So that's what I kind of like. And this board has it has how many barrels they've had the last month, but also what they've done the full season. And that 2 to 28 ratio is pretty wild for Tyler Soderstrom. The other name I'll just throw out there is, and again, this is the somewhat trick of falling into small samples is Bryce Terang. He's kind of morphed back into, we even talked about the bat speed improvement for Bryce Terang early in the season, kind of that power uptick that we saw from Bryce Terang the first month and a half of the season. Looks like Bryce Terang's back being Bryce Terang and just 2 home runs. Again, the steals are going to be there. That's fine. Playing time safe, but from a power standpoint, has not been there for Bryce Terang lately.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there, and I'll shout it out again because I skimmed over, but Jacob Wilson, only 1 barrel. He has 7 barrels on the season, yet Jacob Wilson has 9 home runs. Keep that very much in line. I know the ballpark helps a ton. He's still hitting 330, 39 is a beast, but 5 steals, 9 homers is if he ever stops hitting home runs, that line is heavily Luis Ariz.
Absolutely. Agreed.
So go back to that one. All right, let's talk pitchers. Pitchers, risers, fallers. What do we got? Oh, it's a nice big board here. What do you got here?
All right. So on the pitcher tab, we've got last 30 days strikeout minus walk. So again, comparing what they were before versus last 30 and just taking the biggest difference there. Last 30 days in stuff plus. So the raw stuff of a pitcher, how much has that changed over the last 30 days? Fastball velocity, self-explanatory. And a bonus, fourth one, pitch mix change score. How much has a pitcher changed their pitch mix over the last month? And most importantly, has the change in pitch mix worked or not? Because if it doesn't work, then it's not useful. So those are the 4 boards that are available on these sheets last 30 days.
And these boards, I think I like them a ton. I like both, but for fantasy, I can read a lot more about because they link up really well with the waiver wire for the week. It feels like when you want to look at these, especially the K to walk risers and fallers. And we'll start with Quinn Priester, who was a 4% K to walk guy before the last month, 22% in June, and it is correlated to some outstanding streaming starts if you went that direction. So I've been on him. I'm just going to mention a handful of these, and you can kind of go where you want, Ryan, on this. Yusei Kikuchi, we talked about him a ton in the Discord. You have tons of shares there, up to 25% K to walk. His last 3 starts have been outstanding for the Angels. Talked about him in Wednesday's daily matchups article. Soriano's followed suit. Jacob Lopez, we talked a lot about. So anybody in that kind of first grouping there, Priester, Kikuchi, Soriano, Lopez, that you'd like to highlight, do them all if you want. But 4 guys I know we've talked about in recent Fab shows.
I think the 2 I'd call out are Priester and Kikuchi because they are A, the biggest risers, but B, like there's some textual changes to both of these because again, somewhat similar to what I talked about on the hitter side, right? This stuff's just going to fluctuate throughout. Skills fluctuate throughout the season. You have heaters, you have some bad stretches. Same kind of works for pitchers. Now, pitchers can, I think, and I've said this many times on the podcast before, can kind of reinvent themselves by changing pitch mix, arm angle, any number of different things that folks look at. So I think it is important on the pitcher side to kind of keep a little bit more in tune with what's going on here. Quinn Priester just feels like Milwaukee has figured something out with Priester. New cutter this season. He basically had never thrown it before. Priester's throwing it almost 20% of the time. Right now, the nice thing with Quinn Priester, with this 22% K minus walk, again, league average, I think is like 14, 15%. Elite ground ball rate guy. It's like a 58% ground ball rate for Quinn Priester. It's always been that way for Quinn Priester. So if you get that kind of ground ball rate, and I don't expect Priester to hold a 20% plus K minus walk the rest of the season, but even if it's like league average or slightly above league average with that many ground balls, you've got yourself a pretty rosterable pitcher.
Yep, totally agree. I love what we're seeing there, and it's a team that needs pitching, and they're finding what ways to utilize these guys. You got Priester, you got Miz joining the mix with Peralta and company, and Woodruff maybe eventually, kind of might come back here sooner than later. But yeah, good to see there with Priester. What about Kikuchi?
Kikuchi is the infamous slider grip tweet. Yep. That I know I've put in the Discord, but it was June 3rd. There was a tweet came out that from one of the Angels beat writers that the Angels realized Kikuchi wasn't gripping his slider the same way that he was last year with Houston. So they wondered if Kikuchi should go back to the grip that was shown last year with Houston when Kikuchi was really good. And this even incorporates one bad start, but Kikuchi over the last 30 days, 25% strikeout minus walk rate. So it feels like Kikuchi's got command of that slider back. The last few starts for Kikuchi have just been absolutely electric. I don't think it will stay that good, but again, Kikuchi has been, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball second half last year.
Yep.
Like he could keep this going. I don't know how actionable it is. Kikuchi's widely rostered, probably hard to trade for right now, given how he's looked lately, but like the skills back it up.
Yeah, 100%. It's been pretty impressive to see. Ryan Gusto's on the list. We will talk about him a few boards from now, so I don't want to talk about him here because big standout down the road. Unless you have some. But Sandy Alcantara, just wanted to highlight that as well. Cato walks up to 15% as we're starting to see him come back to reality. Not dominating, but being much more. He's kind of got a Michael Wacha vibe to him right now.
Yeah, Sandy, and I think this is, you paint the context around some of these boards. I always say the board's the start of a conversation. This is potentially Sandy kind of getting that command back after that super long layoff with Tommy John. I'd love to see the kind of 50% ish ground ball rate for Sandy. It's at 45% this year, so I'd like to see a few more grounders, but certainly a good sign that Sandy is getting a little bit more command back. And again, 15% K minus walk. It's nothing special. That's right around league average, but hell, it's a lot better than what it was for Sandy.
No doubt about it. Let's go to some of the fallers here and some names that are bringing some concern on this board. We'll start with Jack Flaherty, dropped from 22% to an 11% K to walk, Ryan. It's been horrible of late. People in the Discord have discussed dropping Jack Flaherty. I understand benching him right now. It's tough to drop him per se, but the month of June was brutal with Jack Flaherty. 6.84 ERA in the month of June will not play for your fantasy teams. Not to mention the walk rate up to 14.3%, causing this K to walk problem. What do you got for Flaherty?
I think he's too good to drop. You just hope this is temporary. This is something maybe tipping pitches. I don't know. I think Flaherty is too good to drop, especially definitely in 15 teamers where starting pitching is just death. But yeah, it's been absolutely, if you can bench Flaherty and kind of wait this out, that would be the move. I am doing so on several draft and hold teams that have Flaherty. Granted, has dropped from a really high level, 22%. That's really good, down to 11. 11's certainly below average. It's not awful. It's not Walker Buehler type level.
0%
on this list, who has a 0, which is basically the same number of strikeouts as walks, which basically means you're toast. But not a good stretch for Jack Flaherty. And you always wonder with Captain Jack with the injuries, it's like, is something wrong? I certainly hope not, but yeah.
I'm not going to talk too much on Buehler besides the fact, did you hear his comments about they're asking are you fighting for a roster spot? He's on fighting to stay in the bigs.
Buehler said that? I did not see that. No.
Yeah. I paraphrased it for him, but he basically went over the roster spot or starting rotation spot to flat out, should I belong in the game of baseball? Like that
sucks.
Between the years is not good right now.
No. And obviously this is not, injury has basically derailed Walker Buehler's career. And I know that happens with a ton of pitchers, but it's got to suck for him to know like how good he was, and he just physically cannot get back to that level. I might watch that clip
It was pretty rough to see. You get, like, as much as we had our fun with some of these guys, it's like Bobby Miller and company. That's you don't want to hear those kind of quotes. It was not good.
Mm-hmm.
Dustin May went from a 16% to a 4%. Like in the month of May, it literally was May Day. He was like just doing his thing. March, April was even better. In June, had a 5.67 ERA, and we see the K to walk drop tremendously. And it's a large part because he had a 13.5% K rate. He wasn't fooling people, Ryan. And they're already talking about, hey, is this who Emmett Sheehan's going to take rosters? Like they're trying to find a way to get May almost out of the rotation right now.
Yeah, it has not been good for Dustin May. I think the month of May for Dustin May was certainly a high point. Like if you look at the total body of work with Dustin May, it's not that impressive. And you have to start wondering, is this fatigue related? Dustin May in a major league season has never thrown 60 innings before, and he's already at 82. Like, how does this get better?
Yep, I'm with you. I think it's time to potentially jump ship on this one. 12 teams he can be dropped. 15's getting close. If you want to, I wouldn't tell you no. You highlighted him. I want to get your thoughts.
Yeah,
I want to get your thoughts on this. Mackenzie Gore, 29% K to walk to 15%. What I will say here is he made 5 starts in the month of June. 2 earned runs were less than 4 out of 5. He basically had 2 walks in the first 3. Had 7 walks in the last 2 starts. So it's one of those we talk about looking at the board and reading the story. His last 2 starts have been bad. Overall, Mackenzie Gore's still been pretty dang good.
All right, so you're not worried?
Not unless there's something that's mechanically / physically wrong because of the last 2 starts. Yeah. Otherwise, like the strikeouts are still there. He's still doing his thing, but I'm not that worried right now.
Okay. And yeah, the whiffs are down slightly in June, but not much. Velocity, probably the most important thing. Velocity for Mackenzie Gore has stayed firm. And I always just assume if the K to walk drops for Mackenzie Gore, that it's some type of spike in walk rate. But to your point, it really hasn't. But so the command is there. The velocity is still there. I'm not too worried about Mackenzie Gore, though I did not realize, and again, this is also kind of the side benefit of these boards. Just I did not realize Mackenzie Gore had been a rough patch for him. I don't have much Mackenzie Gore, so I don't track him much, but was surprised to see him on this list.
Yes, my standings have shown that. All right, let's jump to the fastball velocity board, Ryan. And we're not going to talk Logan Allen. Walker Buehler's velo's up, which is a plus. But what do you have for us on this board?
I don't have too much on the risers, honestly, that I see. So Logan Allen is the top. Walker Buehler, like a fastball velocity can be a double-edged sword. Like Walker Buehler going up to 95 is nice, but you still want to look at the other skills, the strikeouts and walks, and that's been 0, like we mentioned. So for the fastball velocity, I'm more interested in the fallers, just because things can unravel quickly and be a sign of injury and even worse stuff. So
there's 3 major names that stand out to me on the fallers.
Good.
Nick Martinez. It's not like a massive fall, but his production has followed that fall. Luis Severino, Hayden Birdsong. Those 3 stand out as guys. Like Birdsong got hit around again today. Severino got destroyed in New York, and his team's already looking to trade him because he doesn't want to pitch in Sacramento because apparently he just looked at the check and forgot what the weather was like. Like that's just so pathetic. But I digress.
Wait,
those
what?
Are the ones that
what do you do?
Oh, Severino flat out said he wants to get traded. Doesn't want to pitch in that ballpark anymore.
I saw that, but like he looked at weather.
Well, he signed a check there. He should check the weather before you sign. That's like signing a check in Coors Field and being like, oh, I don't want to pitch in this ballpark. Like, dude.
I thought you said he was like complaining about the weather, like didn't check the weather before his start. Never mind.
No. I was like, you knew what you signed up for. Freaking man up. Just because you're getting smacked around, don't make that excuse. But what are your thoughts on those 3 or anybody else on the board?
I was gonna go straight to Gavin Williams. Yeah. He's the biggest velocity faller, down from 96.9 to 95.5, like that, a tick and a half in a month. That's not great for Gavin Williams, especially given the lack of workload we've seen from Gavin Williams lately, and given the 13% walk rate, like the lack of control for Gavin Williams. If that velocity is down 1.5 miles from what it normally is, that strikeout ceiling is thus not there. And again, you always wonder with the injury history, is something wrong with Gavin Williams? He did pitch today against the Cubs, and I don't think it went very well. It usually doesn't against the Cubs.
Terrible.
But I don't. Yeah, it wasn't that bad.
4 earned, but it's if you go through his game logs, he had 4 walks and 2 Ks against the Cubs.
It was 4 walks and 2 Ks. Yeah. Like that is terrible.
But if you look at his logs, it's usually like 2 to 3 walks, sometimes more every start. Like 2/3 of his starts, he's got 5 Ks or more. So walks continue. It's been an issue all season. Like we've talked about him a few other times. He has massive control problems right now. So part of me wants to know, like, I'd have to look at the entire pitch mix with Gavin Williams. Is he trying to do other things with the ball to find the strike zone? Like, I agree that the drop in fastball is bad, but the Guardians have been known to tell guys to utilize the corners with their pitches. And I'm wondering if the's something to that. I don't know. I'm just speculating, but it's just.
I don't know if Gavin Williams knows the difference between a corner of the plate and.
I'm just saying that the entire season, his stat lines have been pretty similar all year long.
Yeah, I've never been a Gavin Williams guy. I'm very concerned about Gavin Williams. 3.86 surface ERA on the season. What's the whip can't be good with all those walks. Oh, no. 143 whip. Like this is bad, and this is not trending in the right direction for me.
That's a Eduardo Rodriguez type whip from previous seasons, not this year, of course, because he's good.
That's a Team Bubba type whip there.
Yes,
which I make fun of all your whips, and you're like ahead of me in every league we're in. So
I'm not gonna say I didn't say it. Anyone else on this board before we talk about pitch mix changes? Because this one is where things really start to get interesting.
Let's head on over.
Okay, let everybody know what the score is we're looking at first before we dig in on these players.
All right, so pitch mix change, basically this score, it's just a number. So like if you drop basically it's usage of each pitch. So simplest example, if you go from 1 month to the next and you drop your fastball usage by 10% and you pick up I'm just making up stuff, but you pick up your slider, you throw more sliders to make up for it, that's up 10%. I add that up across every pitch in a pitcher's arsenal, and that's what that score is. So if a pitcher did nothing except throw 10% fewer fastballs and 10% more sliders, their change score would be a 20. So I'm just adding up the difference across all the pitches. So the highest you can get is 200, which would be like 100% down to 0 and then 0 to 100 to make up for it. That's a total overhaul of your pitch mix, which doesn't really ever happen. But 0 to 200 scale. So the biggest thing, and I mentioned this before, which pitch mix change score is it's not really did you change your mix, is it's working. So I've got strikeout minus walk and CSW color coded here to kind of show is it working or not.
And to your point about 100 being pretty much the mecca here, Kumar Rocker is at 94 for the month of June. Like, he came back from the IL and mixed it up, folks. 16.3% K to walk, 29.9% CSW over that stretch. He made 4 starts in the month of June. His last 3, though, he allowed 4 earned runs over 16 and a third innings pitched with 5 walks and 16 strikeouts. Looked like a much better pitcher the last 3 starts. Where are you at on Kumar?
The interesting thing with Kumar, so the change has been more of a cutter. So he's still very fastball centric. It's cutter 40% of the time in June, 4-seamer 20% of the time, and sinker 20%. Like that's what Rocker's mix is. And this is a little bit of with cutters and sliders, it's a little bit of a classification thing basically. But like Rocker's basically throwing his slider, cutter's throwing it harder, and it's being classified as a cutter now. Doesn't really matter what it is, I think, in terms of like fantasy. I think it's just valuable to know that Kumar Rocker is now throwing 3 different pitches. Mm-hmm. And over the last month, he's got an above average strikeout minus walk and an above average call plus swinging strike. Like, things have changed for Kumar Rocker, and the results have improved and the skills have improved. And I think especially for someone this young, I think that's certainly something to take note of.
Yep, totally agree with you there. It is funny to see Gavin Williams on this board after we just talked about him with a 66 score change, but the results 6% K to walk.
It kind of goes to what you were saying, though, right? About Cleveland wanting to tinker and try some different things. And again, you credit them for doing that. It's just it hasn't worked. Exactly.
Yeah, not working at all. Robleski, I want to see more of a regular role, but it is good to see the improvements with Robleski. I want to drop down to some other guys here with some green on the board. Shane Baz, a guy that we were kind of writing off a month or so ago. He's made a 43 score change, but we've seen a 14.7% K to walk and a near 32% CSW. Is this something we could maybe look as optimistic for the time to be going forward?
This is one I will probably take a L right now, at least on Shane Baz. I thought he was done. We talked about him maybe like a month ago. And yeah, you were with me. Like, things were not trending well for Shane Baz, and we all know the lack of workload for Shane Baz over the last few years wasn't looking good. Over the last month, Shane Baz considerably more sliders, fewer curveballs, so just kind of mixing up his secondaries and throwing a fewer changers. So basically leaning into that slider more often for Shane Baz. Pitched well again today, July, a bunch of strikeouts. So happy to kind of eat my words. Shane Baz over the last month, 15% K minus walk and a really good CSW score. So again, I don't know how long it lasts. That my concerns about lack of workload with Shane Baz, I think, are still valid, but it has been a nice turnaround for Shane Baz. I remember seeing there were hints of him tipping his pitches during that cold streak as well. So you never know, but that could have contributed to this as well.
Yes, indeed. Another one that looks real good to me is Tanner Bybee. Made a 37 score change, but it has increased to a 20.4% K to walk and a near 31% CSW, which is things you love to see. And in the month of June, it's been 3 runs or less in 4 out of 5 starts. He has 5 total walks over those 5 starts and 6 or more Ks in 4 of those 5 starts, Ryan. So massive improvements there. And more importantly, in his last 4 starts, only 1 home run allowed. He's keeping the ball in the ballpark, which is something that's been a bug. Like, Brandon Pfaadt and Tanner Bybee have a lot of things in common, it feels like, in times. Bybee's been much more successful, but I think it's the walks and the home runs, and right now Bybee's figuring it out.
This has definitely been a Cleveland tinker project, and unlike with Gavin Williams, it has definitely worked. I wrote about Tanner Bybee. I did a Fact Fluke spotlight piece on him a couple weeks ago for HQ, and basically wrote that for whatever reason, velocity's still kind of there, but Bybee's fastball is like toast, and it wasn't even that great to start out with
at all.
Yeah. And so what Tanner Bybee did in June was he took a four-seamer that he threw basically 30-ish, 32% of the time, first couple months of the season, knocked that down to 20% in June, slider 40%. So he's saying, screw the fastball. I'm going to throw more sliders. He's even mixed a curveball in more in June, throwing that 10% of the time. He basically didn't even throw it before June. So this seems like this is Tanner Bybee in Cleveland trying to do their best to work around a fastball for whatever reason that he just doesn't have right now. I don't know how long you can sustain throwing sliders 40% of the time and have that be successful, but it has certainly worked for Tanner Bybee. It's been a pretty good turnaround over the last month, at least from a skills perspective for him.
It's funny they finally did that, because I remember 2 years ago in the offseason, I wrote about Tanner Bybee, about how excited I was. And I literally said, fastball's garbage. He has a very good slider. I think it was his curveball was good, or his changeup. One of the two was not bad. It's like, just rely on those. Make the fastball something else. And
yeah,
look at it.
It was a changeup. Back then it was the changeup that was his, and he still throws a changeup, but he's now throwing a curve in there too. So yeah, the fastball that was garbage 2 years ago, it's gotten even worse.
Yep.
So I don't know. It's a good thing that Tanner Bybee's pitching better, but you have to know that like hitters are like
they're gonna pick up on that.
Yeah, like I don't know how long you can hide a horrendous fastball, but he's doing it. So
he's doing it so far. Last guy I want to mention here, and I mentioned in the K to walk, I want to wait for this section, is Ryan Gusto. He's got a 35 score, but a 22.5% K to walk, 29, almost 30% CSW. He was one of the largest risers, a 10% riser on the K to walks for the last 30 days. He's made 4 starts, 5 appearances in June. The last couple have been rough, but no walks over that stretch. He's got 4 walks and 29 Ks over 25 and a third innings, Ryan. ERA is rough, but the Sierra and the XFlip are very solid, so it's kind of a mixed bag with Ryan Gusto. What are you seeing here that maybe gives us some optimism in a team that needs starting pitching?
A team that needs starting pitching for sure, especially with all the McCullers stuff. Fewer four-seamers for Gusto lately, more sinkers. That's kind of been the biggest change. So sometimes it's just a kind of mixing up your fastball and going there. The thing for Gusto, he's like 43% four seam, but he's got a ton of different pitch. He's got a curve. He's got the sinker. Like I said, he can mix in a slider, changeup, and cutter. This is like almost Seth Lugo status, throwing 9 different pitches in a game. So he's mixing that up. And again, most importantly, it's showing in the K to walk over the last 30 days. At 22.5% is really good. So as long as Gusto can stay in the rotation, I don't. And I mean, the other thing you want to look at, especially with someone like Gusto, is what are the next few matchups and whatnot. I don't think I have the weekly planner up, but yeah, things are trending very well for Ryan Gusto right now.
Very, very well for Ryan Gusto. And I am pulling up the weekly planner, so I will get us this information, because I'm curious now with Mr. Gusto, and he's not even on the list here. All right, never mind.
Does he's probably not have him as a probable?
Probably not, because he's been in and out with McCullers and Gordon and Walter pitching right now. That's why his last start was behind an opener. Pitched 4 innings after an opener. Okay. So it's kind of a mixed bag there with him right now.
Yep.
All right. Anybody else on this board? Is it some very big standouts? Otherwise, like Bueller checks in as a bad one again. Jack Leiter's been making changes. He had a good start, then a really bad start. He's been back and forth there. Your boy Freeland, who you just highlighted, still not great. Anything else?
No, I think the ones we covered that are good and that have been good lately: Rocker, Boz, Bybee, and Gusto. I think that's a good crew of names to tuck away.
And again, if you want all access to all of this all the time, updated every single morning with one click of a button, get it on the Patreon at patreon.com/Bubba Bloom. Got a few show questions from the Discord. Colin M says, is it safe to stream at Coolers, or are we only starting our trusted guys at this point?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like how has Colorado been lately? You're the DFS guy. I mentioned on the Thursday show, I kind of named like 4 or 5 Rockies that I was interested in all of a sudden in Fab. And while I was doing that, I was like, well, is Colorado terrible, especially at Coors to stream against? I don't know. They seem to have a little bit of a pulse lately.
Well, I'll tell you some things. I'll pull up some numbers here. Last 30 days versus lefties, they are hitting a whopping, where'd it go? 251 with an 87 WRC plus, 24% strikeout rate.
Not awful.
No, they're surviving, but against righties, 250 with a 92 WRC plus with a near 28% strikeout rate. So striking out a ton, closer to league average than they used to be. So I'd still stream pretty judiciously, like not too concerned, but it's not as automatic as it once was.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best. It's not auto. It's auto when the Rockies are on the road. That's still very much applicable. But in Coors, you don't want to start a total garbage pitcher.
Like for instance, like people were worried about starting Colton Gordon. He went 4 2/3, 4 runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. So probably a good idea not to have started him in theory. So they're doing just enough to keep it interesting.
Yep.
All right. BP says, I traded for Jarren Duran about 3 weeks ago, and he's been pretty lousy. There's a turnaround in sight. He's especially not running. It's been a bad season for Jarren Duran, Ryan. Have you dug in any further on him? That anything stands out to you on Mr. Duran?
I have not dug in on Jarren Duran pretty much at all. I think he was my fade in the second round this season, just because I just thought last year was a hell of a year. But typically, what happens after a hell of a year is not having a hell of a year. So I don't know. I mean, the guy's still he's still on pace for 30 steals, but the drop in batting average is a concern. For Duran to only hit 253, and then you factor in the lineup without Devers anymore. Bregman will be back sometime soon, but this is not the Boston lineup from last year either.
And to BP's question, March, April, 279, 2 homers, 10 steals. May, 258, 2 homers, 3 steals. In June, 210, 2 homers, 2 steals. So dropping off massively. Maybe he's hurt. Maybe, I don't know. But doesn't look good. You hope for a turnaround. I just don't see a massive one in sight at this point in time for Jarren Duran.
Agreed.
Mailman Mike, our buddy, says, what's your second half projection for PCA?
I don't have projections, but let's pull up PCA. Let's do an over-under on PCAs. If we look at the Fangraph stuff. Yeah, let's look at his. So rest of the season, Derek Carty over at the BATX has PCA for 12 homers the rest of the year. This is for a half season. 12 homers and 19 steals and a 256 batting average. Where are you going over and under on each of those? Let's start with the power, 12 home runs.
I'll go under on the power.
Wow. He's got 21.
Yeah.
Okay. Under.
It'll probably be over, but I'll go under to make it fun. 19
bags. I feel like
I'll go over with that.
I feel like that's about right.
Yeah.
And 250 feels about right to me.
I go under on the average also. I think a slump's coming. That's all it takes. But I think
the whiff rate
fine. Yeah.
The whiff rate's still really high for PCA, even though the strikeout rate is what it is. So all right. So that's our rest of season projection for PCA.
He hits the ball in the air a ton. So it's like if he's not putting it out, those are just loud outs. So
52%. Yep.
Yeah. Use that speed, Willie Mays Hayes. Put it on the ground. Mailman also says some players who will surprise and disappoint in the second half from both of you.
Let me just go back to I'll pull up the board so you can see it too. I'll use that as my guy. Surprise in the second half. I'll go Matt Shaw. I think Matt Shaw can surprise in the second half, at least of the guys we've talked about. I think the skills are there in his second go around against Major League pitching that can work.
I'll go with Aaron Judge. No, I'm kidding. Let's go with surprise in the second half. We got some of these risers.
Want me to flip over the pitchers?
No, I got it. Joe Adele's. I'm looking at my sheet right now. Joe Adele's already surprised. I think so. We're past that. Tanner Bibby's already surprised. We're past that. I'm going to go with Quinn Priester continuing it for the second half of the season.
Okay. I like it.
Hope in mind. Who's one that would disappoint?
I will say Jack Flaherty. I'm worried.
Yeah, I'd be very worried there. I'm going to go with, we didn't talk about him, but Josh Young of the Rangers.
Okay.
It's been really bad really bad. As much so as I saw a beat reporter say there might be changes to the roster soon if he does not get going. So
that would be a
I'm
problem.
going to go with Josh Young.
One other surprise I'll throw on top is Matt McClain. I do like to see the strikeout rate go down there. I think we know he has power speed in that ballpark. So Matt McClain, I think, could surprise some folks with a big second half.
I like that as well. Ross Hawk says, for non-rookies, how much value do you find in analyzing recent skills, writers and followers, versus just trusting that projections are incorporating and weighing recent skills accurately? That's a very good question.
Yeah, it's a really good question. I kind of alluded to this with like the George Springer and there was one other kind of Castellanos. Like, especially on the hitting side, I don't really put too much stock in last 30-day stuff, even though we just did half a show on it. Those established veteran guys, I think you just have hot streaks, cold streaks, and you kind of know who they are. But I think for pitchers where you can kind of quantify some of that context on things that are changed, and I think for young hitters like Tyler Soderstrom, like I think you can put a little bit more stock in recent performance like this.
If anything, I like to look at it like you see Nolan Gorman. The improvements are correlating to the skills. When it's a player that we've seen struggle so much and can't keep a job half the time, that's a big one. Seeing Riley Green, shoulders healthy, folks. Like, that's pretty impressive stuff, what he's doing there. Joe Adell, the numbers are backing up the production. That's kind of what I like to see that more so for with the hitting side of it. So I guess that is, 3 younger players to his point.
Yep.
It's the consistent guys not so worried about. It's the ones that have fluctuated so much in the past that, okay, is this for real or for not? And again, they could go to a 3-week slump in no time, but at least give some justification to it. Kevin Hastings says, some of us can do without the Listener League update. We didn't get to you, Kevin. It's okay. Michael C. Soderstrom has the same number of barrels as Ernie Clement last 30 days. I did not pay him to say this. Didn't start versus right-handed pitchers today. Are you benching or holding in 12s? Or are you dropping? I'm benching for now, but a drop could be close.
Same. I think that's proper in 12s.
Yeah, like if you need the roster spot, if you're stashing someone else, you can drop him in a 12. Bobo Beyond says, where does Roman Anthony line up with other outfielders in terms of ranking him rest of season? Dude's starting to wake up, Ryan. Not sure if you noticed or not, but I just noticed it today looking at some stuff. But Roman Anthony, he got another hit before the rain suspended game, but he's hit safely in his last 4 games with multiple hits in 3 straight. The power's still not there. Only 1 home run, 5 doubles, but he's really slowly putting things together.
Yeah, to kind of frame it in terms of like, because it's so hard to know. Like, I can see Roman Anthony going off. I can see him also not, as the league, kind of adjust to him. But rest of season for steamer projections on Fangraphs, Roman Anthony is around. And tell me kind of if you take Anthony over all these guys: Willie Castro, Andrew Benintendi, Lars Nootbaar, Kyle Stowers, Austin Hayes, Soderstrom, Wilyer Abreu, like that type of outfielder rest of season.
Wow, I'd take a healthy Hayes. Healthy is the key word.
Yeah.
On that one, Stowers is really close because Stowers hit a home run. He's starting to heat up again. And silly enough, again, it's a health thing, but Benny Biceps is close as well.
Yep.
That's a very good cluster, I'll say, of the 3 of them.
Yep, agreed. I think there's just in general for Roman Anthony the rest of the season, a wide error bars with Roman Anthony, but yeah.
I just want to comment on something real quick here. Michael C. says, surprised Laureano didn't pop here, though. He's been hitting barrels. I just pulled up his June. He hit 3 barrels in June. 3 barrels. 5.7% barrel rate, 43% hard hit rate. So he's playing well.
I've been talking him up. But he has been playing every day in the middle of the lineup. So.
And it's been good. But he's just not producing to that same reason. Bobo Beyond says also Colton Gordon thoughts. Bubick wasn't too bad against the Dodgers. Feel that Gordon can rebound, but would like to hear what y'all think. I'd sit Gordon versus the Dodgers.
Yes, agreed. I would too. What starts are we looking at for Gordon after that? Let's see. I'm going to pull up the starting pitcher planner. Type in a first name as a last name, so that always screws it up. Colton Gordon is at Colorado? Well, that was today. Never mind. Yep. At Dodgers, and then the next start would be against the Texas Rangers. I would throw that. I would
Rangers.
Throw
I would
Gordon
do for sure.
Rangers.
Yes.
So.
Yep, streamer. He's a streamer. Him and Walter, those Gusto, they're all streamers right about now. Other question he has is Bubba Chandler redraft. Any sense of what the hell we are doing with him? I started to drop him this past week. I gave up. I threw my hands up.
Yeah. If I had Bubba Chandler, I think last week, 2 weeks ago, was probably the cut bait point.
Yeah, if they haven't done it now, I don't know what the hell they're doing. I really don't. So it makes no back to our why would O'Neal Cruz run out of ground ball? I don't know what the Pirates are doing. It's pretty frustrating. Pat Monahan in the chat here says, do you think Luke Keeschel will get everyday playing time when healthy? What do you expect production-wise? He's starting to ramp up, but they have a lot of guys. He's starting to get going again, but he still has a ways to go. He's not anytime soon. But my concern is right now, we know this will change with the Twins. They're actually healthy right now.
Well, that'll change.
I said it would. I prefaced it.
I just thought, yeah, damn. I thought Keeschel, I've got him on stash on IL and labor. I just assumed he's out for the season. No, it could be back. RotoWire says some point in July at the earliest. So I don't know. Keeschel was awesome in a tiny stint, plenty of prospect pedigree. So like in terms of like a stash, I think you're too far away from a return there. But maybe in 2-3 weeks, you start looking at him if things are going well in the rehab trail.
He was just cleared to begin baseball activities. So we're still probably talking into July, would be my guess, unless something really ramps up.
Yep.
But yeah, then it just takes an injury or two from the Twins, and then he probably gets right back into playing time like he had before. So
agreed. Yep.
Something to keep in mind, that's for sure. All right. Any final thoughts, Mr. Bloomfield, before we head on out and record a Fab show tomorrow?
Yeah, I will see you tomorrow night. So our loyal listeners in the chat who it's part of your routine on Thursday nights. Again, we're recording Wednesday night for Fab this week. That will be out to the masses when you wake up Thursday morning this week. So I'll see you soon, man.
Yes, I will see you soon. I got. I'll be doing double duty. I have a show starting about an hour and a half before that, so we will be rolling into that one.
Hey, just keep him on during a Fab preview. Hell, he's a lot better than I am.
Teach us a few things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, have a lot of fun on that.
I'll just sit backstage and you and Waddell can.
No. This is not the Bubba and the Waddell show. That'll be a different show. But we'll wrap it up there. Make sure you follow Ryan on Twitter at RyanBHQ, the podcast at Bubba Bloom Pod, patreon.com/Bubba Bloom. I'm at BD Intric, and thanks for listening. Thanks for joining the chat, everybody. Always a fun one. This was Bubba and the Bloom, episode 256. Catch y'all next time.